Well, Gracie Binion, welcome to the podcast. Thanks for coming on today.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here.
We're thrilled to get to meet you. We're obsessed with you. You're just so fun.
Thanks, guys.
I don't know if I've ever seen anybody lead worship like you lead worship. You are like a tiger,
beautiful.
The way you
Like a
prowl
tiger.
around. It's really very exciting.
Thanks. I've never heard someone say that before. Thank you.
Is that a weird compliment, or do you receive that in your heart?
I think I like weird compliments, so I appreciate it.
I'm just saying, like, there's like a real edge to it, and it's not like a trying too hard edge. It's just your stage presence.
Thank you.
It's unique. It's something, and I think that's really cool. I think like David fighting Goliath, he needed to do it. He couldn't do it like Saul. Like I feel like there's a different sound. But there's also a different way that you stand in your authority. That's very exciting.
Thank you.
How did that develop? How did you figure out your style? I mean, I'm sure to some degree you have to play the scales before you can play jazz, but
that's a great question. I don't think I've ever tried to like emulate anyone else. I feel like that's how a lot of people learn, which I think that's great. But I don't think I ever try to mimic anyone else. I think that's a part of my personality is I do like to be different. And so I will go out of my way to like not watch other people or not look at other people. I mean, I grew up with parents as worship leaders, so it was kind of always in my house and I was always in that environment. But I was taught to seek that out for myself. And so I think any authenticity that shows through or anything that's different is just from not, copying anything else or mimicking, Yeah.
What's fun about that is I think it's kind of like, and I know you just got married, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's that, but congratulations.
Yeah,
Thank you.
that's so exciting.
Is it true you got married on Valentine's Day?
I did, yeah.
That's hopelessly romantic and fun.
I love it. I love it.
So this episode's airing in August, but we're recording it a little earlier than that. So, I mean, you're hot off the press in marriage.
Yeah, 4 months in. Yeah.
Wow.
So great.
How's that been?
It's been so fun. We got married and literally like a month in, we went on tour together. So he was like tour husband and I was opening for Bodie. I don't know if you know Bodie.
That's how I started first tracking with you because Bodie, here's the sentence, ready for it? Bodie and I went to prison together.
No way.
We were in San Quentin doing some ministry at the same time. It sounds cooler to talk about when Bodie and I went to prison
just go back
together.
the other way. Yeah, you went to prison together.
We were in prison
That's
together,
awesome.
just serving. But yeah, so that's how I first started tracking with you was seeing, of course, you and him are very fun on the internet together.
Mm-hmm.
Got married in a fever. It was hotter than a pepper sprout. You went straight on tour.
Right.
And
we went on tour and Bodie has this rule that I love where him and his wife have this boundary where like he can't tour with a female artist unless she brings her husband.
That's cool.
So I got to bring my husband and it was the best time. And I feel like we all became like best friends and, we're making fools of ourselves. So it was the best time.
Did you guys hold hands over the bunks like at night? Did you sneak your hand
We
down?
can talk about this for a while. We didn't have bunks. We did a van tour.
Oh gosh. Yes, it was gourmet. It was a gourmet tour.
Oh yeah, it was awesome. I was the only girl. And for the first chunk of the tour, the van smelled like something that I can't describe on the internet. It was horrible. It was now the tour was amazing. I loved it.
You have me curious because I was in youth ministry. I know some different smells. Can we hone in on it? Can we get closer?
Yeah. I think there were a lot of pants that weren't being washed.
Okay.
That were worn repetitively during the van rides.
Poor thing.
Sure.
And then we did J Fest, which was in Chattanooga. And it was super muddy outside. So the mud, we kind of tracked into the van. And we were doing van rides. We did like an 11-hour van ride once, and we would stop in hotels every night. So we slept in hotels.
So are you pulling a trailer too, the whole deal?
No, everything was in the trunk.
Oh, wow. And vans don't even traditionally have trunks unless you remove a row.
Yeah. I think they took a row of seats out and made there was like a little wall situation and that you could remove if you wanted to. And all the instruments and the merch and everything was like stacked high in the back.
Wow.
So crazy.
And you're the only girl.
You're the only girl.
So,
yes.
And I think God gave girls like a greater sense of smell. Like we're able to really like know, okay, so this smells like this smells like this doesn't smell right, this smells great. So for you to be the only girl smelling all the smell.
Bad pants. Smelling bad pants.
Guys, this is how bad it was, is all the guys knew it smelled too.
Wow.
We all knew.
But they couldn't do anything about it because you're in a van.
And
this was home.
when we tracked the mud in, I think there was like fertilizer in the earth.
Wow.
And so for the second half of the tour, the van smelled like manure.
What a honeymoon. Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's romantic.
Super romantic.
Wow.
Super special.
Some of those days, man, the early days touring, it's, I mean, even touring on a bus there's a ruggedness to it, but that's a different level. That's a level, that's another level of really feeling it.
Touring on a bus is going to be luxurious.
It's true. It's so
compared
true.
But honestly, I feel like nothing bonds people together like an experience like that.
Yeah.
So it was like, I made friends that hopefully will be in my life for forever. It was the best time.
How did you drive? Because normally you get on the bus and sleep overnight. So how would you get to the next venue? Like early in the next morning?
So usually what would happen about half the time is we would pack up the venue and we would leave a show at like 11 p.m. We'd stop, get something to eat, and we'd drive till about 3 or 4 a.m. I'd stop at a hotel, sleep in usually the next morning, and then have a show that night. So we'd pack in the venue at like 3 p.m. And so that's kind of what it looked like. If not that, we would stay the night in a hotel, and then we would have an off day the next day and drive all day the next day, and then have a show the following day. It really depended on we didn't have like a clear route either. So all the shows were kind of like all over the place.
Oh my.
So we went from like Tennessee, I think it was like somewhere in that area, all the way down to Florida, and then like back up to like, I don't know. I honestly can't picture the U.S. map right now. So
it happens.
Somewhere like past Tennessee and then back down to Tennessee. It's like we're kind of all over the map. It was very interesting.
Wow.
Okay, so you're, if I'm not mistaken, on this tour, not doing like Christian churches. You were doing more bars, clubs.
We were playing bars.
Yeah, that's right.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
And it was more like cool. Bringing not pop, but more music, not worship music, right? The way the tour was.
It was like Christian artistry music. So it wasn't like worship sets, but like Bodhi and I both have Christian music out. That's not worship. Technically, I believe.
I know that's
for a long time.
We could talk a lot about that because of the C.S. Lewis. I love the C.S. Lewis quote: "Songs don't have souls, so songs can't be Christian. There's just words. There's just art. There's just music."
I love that. That's great.
Which is an interesting distinction to make, because I think someone said,
I'm gonna look that up and save it for later and read more into that. That's
it's interesting because they said, "I love your Christian books," and he like stopped and he's like, my books don't have souls. Only people can be Christians. There's just books,
Oh my God. That's that's a great way to put it.
So a more helpful distinction maybe would be songs written expressly for the church to use in the gatherings. So that would be congregational choral music that is meant for the people of God to sing when they come together to celebrate the resurrection, as distinct from any other music, right?
Yeah. That quote is like the perfect way to describe how I feel about music and genres and whatever. I don't like that people describe worship music as a genre, because genre should be sounds, whereas worship is like the context of the song. So anyway.
That's good. That's really good.
It's interesting. We have to pick down on that more, because I think it's important. I think people are well-intentioned, and so it's helpful to have a category of worship or praise or whatever, but it is also maybe misleading at times, because everything we do is meant to be worship. The way we parent, the way you love your husband, the way you get into a smelly van that smells like dirty pants,
Everything is worship.
It's whatever you do unto God.
Yeah.
But you have dabbled in both songs that you write for the church and songs that are just meant to uplift and be beautiful.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I write all kinds of music. I've been writing songs since I was like 7 or 8. You know, when I was 7 or 8, they were about butterflies. But, you know, like as I got older and experienced different things, I would write about everything I was going through. And it was just like how I processed my feelings in my life. And so, you know, that'll probably look different as the years go by. But in this circumstance, we were touring music in bars that was, you know, written about Christianity and about our faith. And yeah, it was super cool. But
and more art music. Yeah.
Did you learn writing from your parents? Like, were they writing songs as well?
my dad's a songwriter. He has also been writing songs his whole life. He started playing piano when he was 7. My mom is a phenomenal singer.
Wow.
But yeah, my dad's been the writer. And so everybody says I get my singing from my mom and my writing from my dad. But
ooh, you're like the perfect little Frankenstein, aren't you?
I like that.
Oh my God.
But yeah, I think I don't even think I realized that my dad wrote songs at such a young age. I mean, as I got older, I knew that about him, but it wasn't something I processed where I was like, I want to write songs like my dad. It was like, oh, I want to be Hannah Montana. So
right.
We've all been
I'm
there.
gonna write some songs, you know, and like Taylor Swift was a huge inspiration to me when I was like a little kid. I remember buying her CD at Target when I was like 7, not with my wallet, obviously. But yeah, I always knew Taylor Swift wrote all of her own songs. So like when I was 10, my whole family watched this like Taylor Swift Thanksgiving special. I don't know why she had one of those, but it was on at Thanksgiving. And so we watched it together. And I had already been writing songs on my own, but I remember I told my family, I was like, hey, I'll be back in a couple minutes. I'm going to go do something. So I went to my parents' room and I closed the door and I wrote a song in like 10 minutes about a boy who like lived down the street, who went to my school. I had a crush on him. And I came out and I showed my dad this song. And this was the first time that they realized that I had like an actual like gift in songwriting instead of just like, you know, thinking it's cute. And like, I used to write songs in journals before this and I would like write the word yeah and then times 7. Okay.
Sure.
You know, like
we're going to say yeah 7 times.
Seven times. Yeah. So this is the first time that it was like, apart from that, I had written like a real song. And so we had like a demo recorded and we sold little CDs of it at my church. It was a whole thing. So that's
and it was about the boy. This one was about the boy and you were selling it at church. We have to flip over the table of the money changer. That doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel right.
No, yeah. We sold CDs like to the kids and the youth and stuff. Like I remember at like the front of like kids' church, I'd be out there holding CDs and like they'd have me sign CDs.
Did the boy know? Amazing. Did that little boy know?
I don't know. All I know is we ran into his family at the movie theater once and my dad gave his mom a CD.
Well, Gracie, I have a surprise for you. We actually tracked him down and he's coming out here right now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Could you imagine if that happened? We flew him to Montana to be on Zoom with you.
Yeah.
It'd be so good.
So weird.
Oprah Winfrey's got nothing on the Hey, it's the Luskos.
So do you still have those journals that you started writing your songs in?
I think they're at my parents' house.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
you should hang on. You should track them down and keep them.
So sweet.
I know. I want to.
That's beautiful.
There's probably some treasures in them.
I know. I was watching another Taylor Swift documentary, Sue Me, a couple days ago with my husband. And she was like going through these journals that she had when she was a kid. Like she started when she was 13. So I got a few years on her.
Yeah, you do.
But she was going through these journals she started when she was a kid, full of songs and just like thoughts and whatever. And I remembered that I had all these journals and I know my parents kept them because I have a huge keepsake box. And I want to track them down and keep them with me so I can hold on to those and like show them to my kids someday. And like, yeah, I think it's super cool to have that. But
it's really special.
Did they put you in piano lessons or like what about the musical side of your development?
So, you know how I told you I would like intentionally try to not be like other people. My parents put me and my brother in piano lessons, and my brother had more of a knack for it. So I didn't want to take piano lessons because my brother was taking piano lessons. I took to teaching myself guitar. I wouldn't say I'm amazing. I play enough to like write songs. I'm not great. Like I wouldn't hurt anyone's ears by playing guitar on a church stage. But I can play well enough to like write music with an instrument. I I want to learn piano now, but yeah, I think I never wanted to do what people wanted me to do. So I never committed to piano, but I would love to, especially to carry on. Like my dad is just such a phenomenal piano player and I'd love to carry on that legacy. But my husband and I have a little keyboard in our house. So I think I'm going to start kind of teaching myself, but yeah.
That's awesome.
What about like voice lessons? Like, or is it you just did it, or you were taught too?
I took voice lessons. So, but I could sing. My parents realized I could sing. I like harmonized to something. I don't think I knew that I was harmonizing, but like in the back of the car when I was, I don't know, 8 or 9 or something, they would be able to tell you better than I could. But they put me in voice lessons because I wanted to. I was asking for them, I think, when I was like 9 or 10. And so I took those for a few years and it was kind of on and off. And those definitely those really, really helped. I'm still in contact with my voice teacher. I don't take lessons anymore, obviously, but actually not obviously. People should take voice lessons for as long as.
Well, I was just going to say, don't the pros bring vocal coaches out on the road with them to warm them up and stuff like that?
A lot of times they do. Yeah. So my vocal coach, I'm pretty sure she was a singer for Kirk Franklin, like back in the day. So she's just phenomenal.
Wow.
I actually changed my phone number and I need to give her my new phone number.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. She probably has got all these texts that she's left on read from. She's very disappointed.
So did you start with her and then you just stayed with her all throughout?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
She's the only person I ever took voice lessons with. And then one time my parents brought in this woman. I don't remember her name, but her Instagram is the worship vocalist. Her and her husband teach, and I can't remember her name, but they came and did a workshop for my parents' worship team at their church. And she taught some phenomenal technique that I've held on to for like forever. And it's totally changed like my, how long I can last in a set. Like my voice never gets tired because of what she taught. And I kind of already had a mental understanding of it in my head because I realized once I started singing a certain way, my voice never got tired. And then she put words to it and I was able to like apply that technique to what I was kind of already doing. But yeah.
What's one piece of advice from her that you would give to any worship leader, singer listening who's like, oh, here's one little Gracie Binion hack?
Yeah. When I was just on tour, a girl asked me this question for like singing advice, and this is what I told her. I told her to follow the worship vocalist on Instagram.
Oh, there you go. Maybe that's the hack.
Yeah,
that's the hack. No, but there's I always sing in my mixed voice. So hopefully singers listening will understand what I'm saying when I say this, but I don't stay in my head voice long. I don't stay in chest voice. I always mix everything and sing it through what's called your pharyngeal cavity. So everything is like pushed out through here and it can sound like a belt, but it's not as much effort as a belt would be. And so I can sing very high for very long because I'm not coming from like this place. It's all pushed through my nose.
Wow.
How do you take care of your voice?
She's asking for a friend. Has nothing to do with the sound of Jennie's voice.
It has nothing to do with the sound.
She sounds deeper than me today, but this advice is for a friend of hers.
Like, do you have daily like exercise or things that you do to maintain or?
I do warm-ups like on my drive to church on a Sunday morning.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I sing often too. And like, I know the more often you sing, the better your machine's going to run.
Yeah. The more you use that muscle.
But yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome.
My mom always says this, and I've learned this lesson the hard way multiple times. The only thing if you're singing with proper technique, the only thing that's going to make you lose your voice is talking and laughing too loud.
Wow. Maybe that's why I lost my voice.
Yeah,
recently.
that has gotten me and my mom so many times because especially if you're in green rooms a lot and you're talking really loud to people over noise or whatever, it's like that to me and laughing. It's like how you laugh. You kind of have to, I don't know if y'all have seen clips of people like making fun of Ariana Grande for the way her speaking voice changes over the years. So people are like roasting her online because her speaking voice has changed so much over the years. She like talks really high now, but she does it to preserve her voice.
It's a self-protection.
So, wow.
Yes. Like if you change the way you talk and you change the way you laugh, you can protect your voice because Yeah, that's the only kind of thing you're doing that's not using, I guess, proper technique or whatever. But yeah.
Wow, that's interesting.
We had Jen Johnson on, and she was talking about, well, sorry, please say that.
No, that's it. Just drink water.
Oh.
Drink water. Yeah, that's good advice. Less coffee. I should probably drink some water sometime.
3 cups of coffee a day. Don't skimp on that. But
that's it. A girl after my own heart. Yeah. How do you drink your coffee? How do you make it, take it?
Every way, shape, and form. I love a cold brew. I love just a black cup of coffee. I love an iced vanilla latte, never full sweetness, only ever half sweet. Mm-hmm. I love a cappuccino. I love an Americano. I love all of it. I love a pour over.
Wow.
It just depends on the mood.
You're well versed.
She is. And does your husband make you coffee at home?
We make coffee together. He's not as he's learning.
He's on training wheels?
Yeah. He's not as far into the coffee game as I am.
Okay.
If that makes sense. But we make a black pot of coffee in the mornings and he drinks that. So I'm very proud of him.
Sounds like it.
Very good.
Okay, so when Jen Johnson was on, she talked about some random YouTube warm-up she found years ago. And she has sworn by it, stuck with it. To this present day, she won't sing without going to YouTube and listening to this one lady. We put it in our show notes from that convo for anybody who wants to find it. She says it has 186,000 views, but she swears she's 103,000 of them, So have you hung on to a specific warm-up, or do you just do it in your head?
Yeah, and it's the most embarrassing one. I've got a few that I do. I never do the scales ever, really. I've kind of fallen away from I do this really weird one though that I know without fail is going to work every single time. And I'm going to do it for you.
Oh, please.
And I'm so sorry in advance. There's no other way I can describe it. I have to show you. And this isn't anytime I don't even like doing this in front of my husband because it's so weird. It's genuinely so weird.
You're making my day. This is it. We're here for this
so much.
Yeah. Okay. So, before I get to that one, I usually will do vocal fries, which is when you go okay. So I'll do that for a little while. It kind of wakes up your voice, and I'll do little lip rolls,
the trills, right?
And you go until you never go past what you're comfortable with, and then your range stretches the more you do it. And then this is the weird one, okay?
Okay.
So it's all through your nose, and it kind of sounds like a cat. Okay. So you go.
Be careful with your laughter.
You go. Okay?
That's amazing.
Wow.
And just do that until you get comfortable. And then you start singing your lines with that. Through that, okay? So, and then that activates the pharyngeal cavity I was telling you about.
Interesting.
Wow. Who taught you that one?
That's the lady.
Oh, that's the girl.
She's from Canada, the worship vocalist. She came and taught that warm-up, which that's the one that changed.
That's changed the game.
Wow.
We're going to follow her on Instagram. We're going to, the cat vocals. I'll never forget that. We'll always remember that.
Yeah, it's so weird. And I'm never comfortable doing it in front of people. But when I just went on this tour, my voice, it was getting tired at the beginning because I was laughing so much and talking so much. And so I was I really have to start doing my warm-ups on this tour, and I'm going to have to get over it, and I'm just going to have to do it. And so I did. And what was so heartwarming is all of the guys thinking it was so funny that they were joining in with me and doing this warm-up.
I'm trying to imagine. Bodie's a big man. I'm trying to imagine Bodie doing a cat sound,
Yeah. Oh, he'd be all of the guys just joining in and doing it as the best.
It's like a squeaky door, a squeaky door closing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We feel so honored
and you have
that you'd
to get
share
as
with us.
nasally as possible, which is against common belief, but it's so helpful.
Wow.
It's very helpful.
Oh, thank you. Gosh.
I can't wait to clip that for social media. Just a little sounds there. It's going to be.
That's what I was thinking about right before I did it.
No, it's going to be great. People are going to love that. I do want to ask you, your parents, as you look back, here you are, you're 3, you're 7, you're 9, you're 10, you're showing signs of talent, signs of genius, signs of heart. What do you think they did right that, because some parents make the mistake of okay, well then we're getting them an agent and we're going to get her off to ship her off to, blah, blah, blah. What, looking back, are you man, they did this really right to encourage and coax out, but not also turn it into a product and make you hate it. You know, what would you look back on?
Wow.
I could not be like a bigger cheerleader of my parents. I think they did. Honestly, I think they did everything right. They never forced me into anything. I always asked, and they were always supportive. They never said, like, you can't do that or you can't do this. They would find a way. The only time was like, I was taking dance lessons and I was taking voice lessons, and I wanted to start taking acting lessons. And they were like, okay, you can only do 2. We can't afford all 3 of the lessons at the same time.
Can't do everything. Yeah, totally.
So I chose acting over dance. And so I was doing acting and voice lessons. And so, but I wanted to do it all. And, you know, I would always perform for my family. And like, so they were always just supportive. I mean, if anything, my mom thought I was a little obnoxious at times, which I was. It was definitely true. I was very vocal about my desires and my dreams. And I think sometimes she got a little embarrassed. And she knows that now. We've talked about it. But my dad was always just like, my dad was such a big cheerleader of me. He still is. But
and would he try and temper, you know, like, here's what I'm saying. Like, we have a friend who went and saw Wicked with her dad on Broadway and said, Daddy, I'm going to be Glinda Goodwitch one day. And he was like, every girl in the room thought that, honey. You know, every little girl in the room thought one day they're going to be Glinda Goodwitch. And that helped her because it gave her fire in the belly, and she ended up going on to be Glinda Goodwitch on Broadway. And she looks back at that. He didn't say it in a resentful way. He just said it in a way of like, hey, 1% of people end up on the NFL field. You know what I mean? Like, was there any bit of that from them? Like of trying to help you be realistic? Or was it always like, shoot for the stars, honey. You can make your dreams get in a pot of rainbows, you know?
That's a great question. Man, I don't ever remember hearing anything like that. And I don't know if it's just because it was going in one ear and out the other, because I really believed that I could, you know?
Yeah.
I think, I don't know, like, I feel like it was never like this pipe dream thing where they were like, anything's possible. Like, you're going to be, you know, like, they were real. They were like, you know, if you want to pursue this, pursue it wholeheartedly. And I did. But they were never like, you're going to be the biggest singer in the world someday.
Right.
But they were always supportive and always encouraging. I never received like have a plan B. I never had a plan B. So I don't know why that was, but it was helpful. And now I've never had a normal job. I've always done this, and I get to do it full time and afford my apartment, and it's awesome.
Amazing.
So.
Oh, that's helpful. I just think for parents, like, there's always such a tension. You know, you want to, for sure, you don't want to become the pageant mom, you know what I mean? But at the same time, like, you want to, you know, encourage it and.
Yeah, I think it did get really real pretty quick when I was young too. So I don't know that there was like room to doubt the possibilities, because I was, you know, we did talent conventions and I was, you know, writing with producers in LA when I was 11.
Wow. Yeah, you got sucked into like the Disney orbit too, right?
Yes, I did. So that happened at a very young age. I was, you know, they were pitching my songs to Disney for like theme songs. And I like, you know, after a few no's, I was like, you know, I went through puberty. I'm like 13 now. And I'm like, Disney's not cool. I don't want to do that anymore. So I started writing like some worship songs with my friends and just other like love songs and breakup songs, and just I continued writing, but I didn't want to pursue that route anymore as I got older. And yeah, I think so. When I was 15, I signed my first deal. I signed a development deal with Integrity Music for Christian music. You know, we don't like that term,
but we're gonna with their quotes, it works.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, because I was 15 and signed, it already felt real. And because of what we were doing when I was 11, like it already felt real. So, and my parents, you know, I remember having conversations when I was in high school of like, okay, well, I'm probably going to have to get a part-time job at some point to pay bills if I can't do this full time. I never had to do that, thank God, but I was prepared to.
Yeah.
But also my parents took me traveling with them when I was 14. So like, if I didn't have it on my own, like I was able to travel with them. They started paying me to sing with them when I was 15.
Wow.
And like that, I mean, it wasn't enough to like, you know, provide completely for myself. I was 15 years old. But that was my experience, which is so like, nobody gets that. I'm very grateful for that. I realize that that's like, I'm such a Nepo baby, and I know that's totally like unfair advantage, but I'm so grateful for it.
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, so I was always doing that. And I always knew like, you know, I could be a worship pastor if I wanted to be, or I could be, you know, whatever at that age, which I'm not saying that because I know like, don't be a pastor unless the Lord directly asks you to be a pastor. And
that's good advice.
Yeah.
Completely different. Yeah. I went to ministry school. That's what they told me.
No, that's so smart. I mean, I think Spurgeon said it this way. He said, if you can do anything else, do it.
Yeah.
Only be a pastor if you can't do anything else. And he doesn't mean can't, as in like can't hack it as an insurance salesman. He means like the fire in your bones is so strong that you can't not preach. Then do ministry. Because otherwise you won't have an internal fire enough to handle the trials of it.
Yeah. That's what they taught us. And when my husband and I went to the same ministry school. So we went to Legacy Nashville. They did a ministry school for like 2 years, and that's where we met. And so they taught heavily on that. And both of us, we know we're called to ministry in some aspect.
Sure.
Because, you know, we do burn for that, but definitely not, I don't think, cut out for the pastor life.
Well, well, I think a better way to frame that maybe would be you have a calling to something else.
Yeah.
And you know, that's not bad. That's not inferior. That's
really.
You're called.
And I think people minimize ministry to one thing too. And it looks a certain, like people think it has to look like church, and it has to look like pastoring people or preaching or whatever. And that's not in the same way that everything we do is worship. Our lives can be ministry. So I think, yeah, that's it.
But I want to pick down on, so it sounds like early on it was more the route you ended up taking, the mainstream route, and then obviously ministry school came in at some point. So talk about that season, because it seemed like there was a season where maybe you were feeling more pulled towards the traditional vocational ministry.
Yeah.
But before you answer that, tell us a little bit on the way there about your meeting Jesus and then wherever that calling came to start seeking out that training time.
You are such a great question asker.
He really
Very
is.
kind.
Very well thought out question. So I grew up knowing the presence of the Lord. I always loved worshiping in a congregation, in private. You know, I was taught to pray and worship all the time. And, you know, it was very much taught to me by my parents by example that we worship every day. And it's not just something you do on a platform, and it's not just something, you know. So I knew that in here my whole life. I think a couple years before ministry school, I started having really, really beautiful encounters in the presence of the Lord. My parents planted a church in 2018. And when that started, and also just watching their like radical obedience too was just so beautiful. Like they laid down so much to plant a church because they received prophetic word after prophetic word. And my dad would wake up in the night with dreams, and like they said yes and they obeyed regardless of knowing whether or not they were going to be able to provide for their family financially. And the Lord followed through. So I had that knowledge that God always provides.
Yeah.
And I was never afraid that he wouldn't. So I'll also say, like, growing up, I also had the unfair advantage of being in prophetic circles all the time. We were always going to conferences where family friends who were prophets would prophesy over me and talk about music and talk about worship and secular music and like the music industry as a whole and Hollywood and all these crazy things. And so all these dreams that I pursued as a kid, I knew that somehow that was there for a reason and it would come to life at a later date. But I had to get to a point where I laid it down. And I think that's what happened when it happened kind of slowly, if that makes sense. Like, I laid down my dreams and desires to be like a pop artist when I was 13, 14, 15, signing that deal with Integrity, pursuing Christian music. Okay. I hadn't fully fallen in love with the person of Jesus. I loved Jesus, but I hadn't fallen in love with him, if that makes sense.
Yeah, sure.
So, and I'll get to when I did to kind of further explain that. But so as I got older and I kind of experienced some time in the music industry of it all, from like 15 to 18 and then 18 to 21, I was with a label, and I kind of became a little jaded to it all because I saw so many people who I knew were signed artists in the Christian industry. I saw them fall away from the Lord, or they were living completely different lifestyles than, what they were portraying on social media or on stage. And it broke my heart, and it broke my parents' heart. And like, my parents were like parental figures to a lot of these people, and they would try to pastor them, and it wouldn't stick and it wouldn't work. So that broke my heart. And so it kind of gave me a disdain for the worship industry.
Yeah.
And I hated that it was an industry and that it became that. Like, you can make so much money writing worship music. And so people get in the cycle of writing hits for the radio.
Cranking out another banger. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. And I never, I hated that. And I was like, I never want to be that. I never want to do that. I never want to profit off of something that's meant to be a sacrifice. So I had that kind of revelation and realization. And while I was kind of wrestling with that, I started having beautiful encounters in the presence of the Lord at 18, 19, 20, 21, that whole phase of my life, just more and more feeling like the physical, tangible presence of God, and knowing that that's something that I don't have to be putting out music to feel that. It's like, I don't have to make a career out of this to have that intimacy with the Lord and to have that, that's worship.
Yeah.
This selling myself and selling my worship is not intimacy. It's like prostitution. And that's something I've learned time and time again over the past few years. So that was really instilled in me. And then I went to ministry school. And that was the first time I made a big move away from my parents. I was never one to be a homebody. I always loved change. I always loved doing something a little risky and just trusting that the Lord would provide. And this was the first big leap of faith I took, though, moving to a completely different state, moved to Tennessee. And I lived where I'm staying right now. My godmother, she lives here. She basically took care of us growing up because my parents traveled full time. And so she lived here. And I was able to move in with her, and she didn't make me pay any rent. And so I went to ministry school for 2 years. And in that first year of ministry school was when the Asbury revival happened.
Okay, yeah.
And actually, my husband, we became really, really good friends. Okay. So we're best friends at the time. And his parents went to school during Brownsville revival. Okay. That's kind of where they met. And
I'm not familiar with that one. What's that one?
Brownsville revival?
I've never heard of it.
Really?
Have you, Jennie?
No.
What is that?
Wow. Okay. It was a huge revival in the late 90s in Florida. My dad visited. He had long hair. He was playing Jesus in a play at the time.
I'm in. I'm into it. I love it.
But every revivalist in the 90s had visited Brownsville. I don't know if you know who Tommy Tenney is. Oh my gosh.
I'm West Coast. I grew up in California. He grew up in Colorado.
Yeah,
We're on the other side, so maybe that's why.
So I guess this was Southern, yeah. But it was around, I feel like it was around the same time as the Toronto outpouring.
I've heard of that one. Yeah.
Yes. So this, my dad remembers, it basically, to kind of sum it up, because I couldn't tell you how it started or what the point of it was. But my dad visited once, and he said everybody was out on the floor, had fallen out. And he was out on the floor laying down. And then he finally was like, hey, I'm going to get up now. And he goes to get up, and somebody was laying on his hair.
Hilarious.
So he couldn't get up.
It wasn't the Holy Spirit. It was a guy named Larry. Yeah. I was struck. Yeah, that's awesome. It was a great story.
No, but so many people got healed, miracle. You can so during this time where Asbury was happening, my husband, him and I started watching all these old Brownsville revival videos. You can watch the sermons online, and just really, really beautiful testimony. So we became so passionate about it. And I told my dad too, I had a boyfriend, who I actually moved to Nashville dating. He lived in Nashville.
Malachi.
That's not Malachi.
Okay.
Actually, they were roommates.
Ooh. That'll get you.
That's a fun little story. I love telling people that. So I remember before I broke up with him, I called my dad and I was like, the one thing I want to see before I die, I want to see revival. And like, do you think I'll be able to see that if I marry this guy? And he was like, I don't think to the extent that you would if you didn't. But if the Lord does it, then you'll see it either way. So then I broke up with him.
Yeah, you're like, I pick revival.
So, yeah.
You're out of here.
Over time, I became so passionate about that in this first year of school. I became so passionate about seeing like a real move of the Lord and like seeing an outpouring like that happen. And so Asbury happens. My now husband and I, we were not into each other at all. I had been broken up with this guy for like a year now. So yeah, Asbury happens. We drive from Nashville to Kentucky, where I think it was in Kentucky. So we were at a Super Bowl party and we left the Super Bowl party before the Super Bowl started to go to Asbury with some friends from our ministry school. And we stayed from 10:30 p.m. to 3 a.m. And we walked in and we were kind of underwhelmed.
Sure. Everyone says that it was just pretty basic. Yep.
Yeah. So, and Malachi and I, both being pastors' kids, we're like, okay, we've been in rooms where you can feel the Lord more than what we're feeling now. And so we walked around and we prayed over the walls and the building. And like, I was just like, Lord, why are we here? You know, like we felt the need to come here. These people are staying for a reason. Why did you bring us here? Because this is not what I expected. And so we left at 3 a.m. and drove straight to school because we had class the next morning.
Oh,
and so we got there at 6 a.m. and we were like, let's just start, also this is when a well-known, I don't remember his name, but the well-known prophet that said that when the Chiefs won the Super Bowl, revival would happen. Do you guys remember this happening?
No, never heard of
it. It
that.
was like a whole thing. And so we were all hyped up driving to Asbury because the Chiefs won.
Yeah.
And so we were like driving there, like super hyped. Anyway, we drive back at 6 a.m. and we're just still fired up because we were like, what was that? Like, what, we're just passionate to see more of because that wasn't it. We knew that was just the surface. And so we got to our school and we started this prayer set in the morning, an hour early. We usually start them at 7. We started an hour early and there's just 5 of us in the room, 5 or 6 of us. And I felt the presence of the Lord unlike anything I'd ever felt in my entire life that morning.
Beautiful.
Wow.
So much so that the next morning we came back again an hour early to do it again. We literally the prayer set went maybe an hour into our first class time because people came in and no one could move from what was happening.
Wow.
So that was Monday. And that Tuesday night, I asked if we could host an all-night prayer service. So Malachi and I did that. And that 2 weeks after we experienced that, it was like we would drive to every college that was having a move. And I was talking to my dad about it. And I realized like what we had received from going into Asbury the very first time, it was like, and we received an impartation of hunger and an impartation of desperation because that's what all these people are there for, And so my dad said, that's the same thing that happened to him when he went to Brownsville. That story where he couldn't get up because his hair was being laid on. He said he went and he was like, this is it. This is what everyone's raving about. But he left and started experiencing the Lord in ways he never had before.
Wow.
And that changed the trajectory of him and my mom's lives. Like after going and coming back, everything changed for them after that. So I ended up I'm coming to the finish line of this.
This is really beautiful.
After 2 or so weeks of going to all these different little revivals, we can discuss the definition of revival, but what they were called at the time. And one night we had gotten back from, I think, Lee University or something like that. And all my friends were sleeping on my living room floor. Okay. Right in here, in this room over here. And I was sleeping on the couch. And I was the last one to sleep. Malachi was closest to the couch. He was on the floor. We were still just friends. He was like a brother to me. And it was raining outside. And I had just done a Chris Valentine prophetic workbook in school. And a lot of what he talked about was how the Holy Spirit, his first language is in English. He speaks through everything. So it's raining outside and I'm fully like, I feel like I can't move for like 2 hours. I'm paralyzed in the fear of the Lord in a way I've never experienced before. And I feel like I'm hearing the Lord speak through the rain, saying that he's coming, he's getting closer. And after 2 or so hours of laying there completely still, I'm laying on my left side and my right ear got so like fiery hot. And I heard the audible voice of God say the words, "I'm here," in my ear. For the first time in my life, I heard the audible voice of God. And I am fully awake. I went into a vision and I'm walking with Malachi. And we're walking into a house together, someone's house that went to the church that we were at the time. And we're walking in and he's telling me the story of cutting his son's umbilical cord.
Oh, wow.
Right. So
it's harder work than you expect. You know, you cut those umbilical cords can be chewy. They can be
sure, a little chewy.
It's just the first time I cut one, you think, oh, this is going to be easy, but you have to really kind of dig down with those scissors on it, you know? It's not as easy as you'd expect. I'm just saying.
God. Praise God. Praise
aren't
God.
Aren't you glad you know this now?
Wow.
Now you're prepared, really Gracie.
Yeah. I'm taking notes right now.
The more you know. It's not like one quick snip. Unless you have really sharp scissors, I suppose.
True. Maybe they were inadequate scissors.
I'll let him know for future reference.
That's going to be wild when you guys get there and he cuts an umbilical.
I know. Yeah, I know. We've talked about that. But so he's telling me that story in the vision. And I was like, Malachi, I know, I remember. I was there. But he just kept telling it and was laughing. He thought it was so funny. And then we go inside of this family's house and they're like, come on, like the kids would have put on a show for you guys before dinner. And that was it. I come out of the vision. It was so short. I'm like gasping for air. I feel like I got hit by a truck. Like my body's just like done. And so I slept for like 2 hours and then we got up to go to a prayer set. And I literally woke up that next morning. I'm like Malachi had really long hair at the time. I'm putting dry shampoo in his hair before we go to this prayer set. And I'm like, I had the craziest vision last night. And I told him about it. And both of us were like, wow, that's crazy. Like, we're going to be friends for a long time.
Did you like give him the whole deal, the umbilical cord and everything? Or did you keep that back for later?
I told him all of it.
The whole deal.
And he was like, wow, we're going to be like really close friends if like, I'm going to be telling you like that story.
Wow.
And so we went another like 8 months of like nothing, just being friends. And then when it hit like 9 months of us being like best friends, it just like flipped and we realized we had feelings for each other. It was so crazy. But
who got it first? Who felt it first?
It was at the same time.
Same time.
Wow.
Yeah. It was wild. It switched. And when I realized, I was like, ew, ew, ew. No. Oh, no. Because I knew too. I was like, I had already met his family. I was like close with his mom. I was like, oh God, if we start dating, we're going to get married. Do I really want that? So that was that realization. But all that to say, when I had that encounter with the Lord and heard the audible voice of God, I felt like I had gone from knowing the presence of the Lord to knowing the Lord because of hearing his audible voice. Like it was a physical experience where he became a person to me instead of just a presence. That I feel like is when everything changed for me in my like pursuit and my laying down of my own will.
Wow.
And that's also, I feel like after that, the Lord started shifting like my desires and my dreams, kind of still including my dreams when I was a kid, like everything he put in me from the start. And that realization of like worship is in everything we do. And the C.S. Lewis quote about like, you know, books aren't whatever the content, you know, people are Christians.
Yes.
Books can't be Christian. Songs can't be Christian. The person putting out the books and putting out the songs. And so the Lord's given a lot of vision and dreams back that I had before, but in a new way.
Wow.
He gave you Isaac back from the altar. You laid Isaac down and God raised him up again.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a very cool season to be in. But
well,
thank you for sharing
the whole journey was beautiful. I loved every bit of it. I love the vitality. I feel like when at Pentecost, the prophecy is young men and women are going to have these dreams, and older people are going to have visions. I feel like this is that. Like I feel like the awakening of young people with worship, the vitality, the stay up all night for the presence of God. That's what I mean. I'm here for it. I think that is so beautiful, and your whole journey is just a story of God moving. I couldn't help but think about Job 42:5 when you said that. Job said, I've heard of you with the hearing of my ear, but now my eye has seen you. And that's a different deal.
I read that so many times when I had that encounter and that experience. I was like reading Job over and over again, and that like wrecked me.
That story that lines up for very similarly, differently, but similar to my journey. When you have an experience and an encounter in the presence of God, it's like why David said, "I would take that over 10,000 days anywhere else."
Yep.
It's just one moment in God's presence. It wrecks you for any other life. And I love that, and I would just encourage you to continue to feel not pigeonholed into any one thing. That you don't have to choose, am I this or am I that? You're just a child of God who's going to do whatever he calls you to do.
Yeah.
And go where he calls you to go. And the world wants to put us into bins and put us into categories, and we have to be this, and you're category killing. You just get to, I'm going to step into a stage and lead worship, and I'm going to go on a tour in secular-ish venues, and just to be who God's called you to be. And I think that's what's appealing to so many about you. And I think God will continue to use that in incredible ways.
Amen.
Thanks. Yeah.
Wow.
Beautiful.
Okay, and you have, as people are listening to this in August, you released a single a month for the whole summer. Is that right?
I'm going to do that.
I mean, this podcast is out in August, though.
Oh, yeah.
So June, July, August, 3 songs came out all summer.
Yes, a song is coming out in June. And if this is August, a song came out in June, guys.
Past tense. There you go.
And where a song has potentially maybe come out in July.
Okay. Yeah, that's what we heard. And then one of them is a song that you wrote for your dad that you sang at your wedding and danced to it with your dad.
Mm-hmm.
You're just out here to make us all cry.
Oh my gosh, it's beautiful.
That is my goal. Yes. Yep.
Okay, and you are anything else going on that we can talk about? I do want to mention how much we love Goodbye Yesterday, Elevation Rhythm. That you're on that track. That's a phenomenal song.
So fun.
Yes.
How did that happen?
Yeah. Okay. So I wrote that song with Mitch Long and Josh Holiday. I've known Mitch since I was 15 when I started writing worship music.
And he's an assassin. That man's an assassin.
Yes. He's phenomenal. So him and my dad write together all the time as well.
He writes with Brooke Lidgertwood a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. So I met Mitch. We started writing together. And so I've known him since he started, I guess, professionally songwriting, coming to Nashville for rights. And yeah, so we've known each other for a long time. And I guess Josh knew of my music and my writing. And he reached out to Mitch, and they all kind of talked about doing a write together. And Mitch, had the connection. And I think Josh also had reached out to my management and my team to all write together. So the three of us got in a room. And my first time meeting Josh, we wrote Goodbye Yesterday. And it was just like every song I've written with Mitch just comes out of like pure conversation. Like we're talking about what the Lord's doing. And I had, just recently been through that whole encounter with the Lord, and I was still walking that out, and I, still am, but like understanding the Lord as a person and like who I am, knowing the Lord as a person and who I was knowing about the Lord. So that's we were talking about all of that. And then the song just came to be super naturally. Super naturally.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, it was literally, and then like 2 weeks later, I get a text and they're like, hey, we're doing it on tour. And then a week later, they're like, hey, everybody loves it. And then another week later, they're like, do you want to come record it with us?
Yeah.
So it happened very quickly and so randomly, but it's been cool to see.
Well, it's beautiful. Yep. It's a great song.
Yeah.
Malachi and you, what do you guys do together? What's fun when you guys are having a date night or a day together?
We love sushi. We have an AMC Stubs membership.
A what?
I don't know what that means.
So AMC Stubs is like, the AMC movie theater?
Ah, yes.
So we signed up for the membership and we pay $25 for each of us a month, and we get 3 free movies a week.
They're not free once you pay for it, just to
right.
We're clear.
Once you it's not free.
But you get to go 3 times.
You get to go 3 times a week. Yeah. So that's like 9 to what's math?
What's math?
Whatever.
A bunch of movies. You guys like movies?
A bunch of movies a month. So yeah, we love watching movies. And so like every week, if we don't have like the budget to go on like a super nice dinner date, we go and we see a movie.
Fun.
We try to do that like every Friday. So that's our like kind of mandatory date night.
That's beautiful. What does he do for work, or what is he involved in?
He works at his parents' church. He does their social media and their kind of content creation. He makes really stupid reels on their Instagram account, and he loves doing that.
So good.
I would say he's very evangelistic, which I love about him, and he's super prophetic too. His whole family's very prophetic, so I can literally be like, "Hey, Malachi, will you go give that person a prophetic word?" And he can pray in 5 minutes, and like the Lord will say something, and he doesn't think that much of it, but I'm like, you don't understand that that's not actually normal.
He's got a receptivity to the Spirit in that way.
Yes, 100%. So
beautiful.
Yeah, and he'll just like pray for the lady taking his order at Subway, and then like give her some money, and like he like started asking the Subway employee about her daughter once, and she started crying. There's a whole thing. So
he's a good one.
Very much.
It would seem he's a good one.
He's a good one. So I definitely want to push him in that direction, and being able to somehow pursue that and have the freedom to do that fully. And right now, what's so great is he doesn't like, because of my Goodbye Yesterday royalty checks, he doesn't have to work a full-time job.
Beautiful.
So that's been awesome. I'm very glad that I'm able to give him that freedom to just like run after the Lord and see what the Lord wants him to pursue, and not have to have anything else kind of holding him. And he gets to travel with me.
He's able to go on the road with you. I was just going to say that. That's a privilege.
That's a gift.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, Gracie, I hope everybody will go on Spotify or Apple Music or wherever to get your new singles that are out. Of course, Whisper in the Wind's out there.
Your album is beautiful.
Your album. Yeah.
Thank you.
What's the title of that one?
I Miss You.
I Miss You is the album title. There also should be a song out called Easy to Please.
Okay.
And I hope you all love it. That's my favorite one.
Love it.
That's amazing. Well, is there a website or anywhere else people could go to keep track of tour dates and that sort of thing?
GracieBinion.com is a thing. And that should have all of my travel dates, anything like that. I'll also post about stuff on my Instagram. Spotify also, if you follow people on Spotify and you're listening to their music, you scroll down, it'll tell you what city they're going to be at next.
Oh, that's cool.
That's cool. I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Okay.
So helpful.
Well, Gracie Binion, we loved this conversation with you.
Thank you so much.
You're a bright light, and you have a real sweet spirit that is infectious. So we're excited to continue to track with you. I hate when people call people up and coming, because you're not up and coming. You're up and doing, and it's a joy to watch. So we're in your corner cheering you on, and grateful that you would spend some time with us today.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much for listening. Be sure to swing by LeviLusko.com and JennieLusko.com to see what's going on in our world.
And make sure to subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. And in the meantime, we would love to connect with you on social media.
Jennie and Levi Lusko out.